name's Zimoha. Welcome to African News, where we bring you the latest updates across the African continent. Let's see your headlines. The United States has urged Rwanda to pull its troops out of eastern Congo before the two countries sign a peace deal. The World Food Programme warns of impending famine in southern Khartoum. Kenyan aerial artists raise climate change awareness through art. Thank you for joining us. The United States has urged Rwanda to pull its troops out of eastern Congo before the two countries sign a peace deal. The U.S. says the move is critical to stop nearly 4 years of fighting between Congolese forces and the M23 rebels, who UN experts say are backed by Rwanda. However, Kigali has denied the accusations. Chris Ocharimga has more from Kinshasa.
Efforts to end the fighting in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo are being stepped up by the U.S. government. Authorities in Washington have asked Rwanda to withdraw its troops, weapons and equipment as a condition for signing a peace deal. Rwanda has repeatedly denied supporting the M23 rebels and said its troops are acting in self-defense against a Hutu militia in eastern DRC. But UN experts and the DRC government say they found evidence of Rwandan forces fighting alongside the rebels in Congolese territory. The clashes between the M23 rebels and government forces have left thousands of people dead and displaced millions of civilians since late 2021. Qatar and the US have been trying to broker a peace deal that would put an end to the conflict that has its roots in the Rwandan genocide of 1994. The US-led deal seeks to bring in American investors to mine the rare earth minerals in eastern DRC and provide Rwanda and the DRC mutually beneficial economic opportunities. According to the draft peace deal, the DRC is supposed to allow the M23 rebels to participate in a national dialogue to address their grievances. The US wants the warring sides to sign the deal this month. Chris Sochomringa for A News in Kinshasa.
The World Food Programme says famine could soon grip several areas south of Khartoum. Sudan's civil war has displaced millions and restricted aid access for months. Even as some areas open up, funding shortfalls are forcing the WFP to cut food rations in the region.
The World Food Programme has raised alarms about famine in parts of Sudan's Khartoum state, including the area of Jebel Orlia. The alert comes after the agency gained access to parts of the capital that had long been held by the Rapid Support Forces. 2 years of war between Sudan's army and the RSF have devastated the country, and a $500 million funding gap is forcing the WFP to reduce food rations, even in the hardest hit zones. Rations are now down to just 70% of the standard WFP emergency level. WFP says the hunger they've encountered in Jebel Orlia confirms the area is on the brink of famine.
I think the area in the south, and I will just name one that's probably resonates, Jebel Orlia, is the one that was the last one held by RSF, and it's the last one that was pushed and where we now have access. The level of hunger and destitution and desperation that was found when the first distributions took place last month were severe and basically confirmed the risk of famine in those areas. Sudanese communities have been on the front lines hosting the displaced, but they are now at a breaking point. With returns expected to heavily damaged areas like Khartoum, pressure on overstretched resources will intensify. We are deeply concerned, and meeting the basic needs, especially food, will be critical and is urgent.
For healthcare and electricity.
WFP says it is reaching 4 million people in Sudan, but warns it cannot keep up with rising needs without urgent donor support. As the war enters its third year, hunger is reaching critical levels, turning even newly accessible areas into zones of extreme risk.
A South African macadamia farmer says U.S. tariff threats are forcing the industry to seek new export markets. The country is the world's top producer of macadamia nuts, with China and the U.S. being the biggest buyers. But as global trade tensions rise, farmers are working on backup plans to protect their livelihoods.
Jean Likanya, a Limpopo-based farmer, has grown his macadamia business from a single plot in 2005 to a 25-ton annual harvest. He now employs 78 people permanently and hopes to triple production within 4 years. South Africa's macadamia exports, especially to the US, are now under threat from proposed tariffs. Although the 31% levy has been paused, Likanya says the uncertainty is driving the industry to explore alternatives, including India.
As a farmer, our core focus is on primary production, and then we get our nut to our drying and dehusking facility. We do our preliminary quality tests. After that, what happens is that on an annual basis, the export factories that are within our area, they typically give a price offer because they've got direct links with the customer, with the buyer. That offer is what I need to peruse. Once I feel that, listen, I've got a nut, or we feel with my management team, we feel that we've got very, very good quality. We've got nothing to hide. We want to entertain the export market, meaning that then we'll go to a factory that does 100% kernel, which is typically the US and Europe.
Local educators say Madimbo makes a visible difference in children's lives.
Madimbo have even employed people from around our villages. They are working there. And the kids, the parents who are working there, their kids are this side. So they came with something. They've eaten something because of the employment from Madimbo.
While tariff tensions threaten South Africa's access to major markets, farmers like Likanya are turning risk into opportunity, scouting for new global buyers and sustaining local communities along the way. The industry says protecting this progress will depend not only on quality, but on more stable trade ties.
Nigeria's ongoing cost of living crisis is now affecting even the country's pet owners, with dog food prices doubling in the last year. Families who once comfortably fed their pets are now making tough choices. Some breeders say rising costs have forced them to reduce operations or rely on cheaper alternatives.
A 100% rise in the price of staple goods since 2023 is affecting an unlikely group in Nigeria, dog owners. Once considered a growing trend in urban households, pet ownership has become an expensive luxury. Imported dog food prices have soared, pushing many families to replace kibble with basic mixtures of rice, noodles, or eggs. Dog importers say feed has more than doubled in just 6 months.
Feeding in particular has really humbled a lot of people. There were some feed we bought sometime November last year. That's about 6 months now. We bought for about 35,000. And for a while we didn't get them. They surfaced again. We're buying for 75,000, 80,000.
Dog owners say they now feel the financial burden of feeding their dogs and are now turning to local alternatives.
So before all the whole high cost of living saga, feeding was so easy. Like, you can easily pick out one in your pocket and feed the dog and not even feel it. Although I can't really say how much then. But now, I think to buy half of the feed is around 10,000 naira. And by the time you pick out that money in your pockets, you'll be like, something else left me.
Right from when I've taken the dog, I train the dog with everything that I'm eating. Even to the extent of biscuits. In case if I'm short of cash, I always buy biscuits for you, and he eats bread also.
With no end in sight to Nigeria's inflation, even pet care is becoming a marker of economic stress. Analysts expect a sharp drop in imported pet food by 2028, forcing breeders, sellers and families to adapt to a new reality where fewer can afford to keep a dog.
A group of young Kenyan aerial artists is using the stage to send a powerful message about the planet. Their gravity-defying performances are part of a new, unique show in Nairobi addressing the climate crisis, Organizers say the event is helping children understand environmental issues while building confidence and creativity. Take a look.
Children flipped and twirled from silks and hoops at Kenya's National Theatre this week, part of the country's first aerial arts competition aimed at raising climate awareness. Titled Urembo, the Not-So-Beautiful Show, the event was founded by Congolese aerialist Christine Misenga to help children grasp the impact of global warming. Misenga says finding innovative ways to teach young ones about climate change is critical.
We have high global warming, and I really wanted to do something where the kid could understand that, and I wanted to know, how does a kid get to understand such a big issue? And then thank God one of my students is like head of eco in her school, so the more she talked I was like, oh, they actually understand, because before I used to think, oh, they don't. But with each child, when I was creating the performance, we got to like, oh, so what's your performance about? So what is it about? And they got to like understand what is happening around the climate and find a solution.
12-year-old performer Thea Robinson says young people can lead the way in protecting the planet.
I believe that every small thing you do makes an impact. You're never too small to make a difference. So even if you plant one tree, you still saving the environment. And as kids, we are the future of this earth. So the last generation has passed, and now it's our turn to try and take charge.
In a country increasingly affected by climate shocks, these performances are teaching a new generation how to rise, both in the air and for the environment. Organisers say they hope to turn the show into an annual event and introduce aerial arts education to more schools in the region.
Well, that's all we have today in Africa News. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to A News.